Hey everybody, welcome back to Behind the Screen, the Secret of the Dragonbane, the Secret of the Dragon Emperor campaign for Dragonbane series we're doing here, where we go over the campaign, one that I've run myself, Joey's run it as well. We give our thoughts, commentary, and keep the conversation going on down in the comments. Let us know if you've run it, if you have any other questions that we don't cover here, because happy to answer those as well. And I guess we'll just kick it off. First and foremost, I really like this adventure. I think this is a fantastic adventure. It's a multi-layered, multi-leveled, multi-experience kind of adventure. Mm-hmm. It's pretty big, actually, considering it's quite a bit bigger than things like Rittermound or the Deadeye's Caves or anything like that. And it really gives a sense of this demonic evil presence that is looming over the Misty Vale.
Yeah,
I really like this one.
Does.
But and go ahead. What were you gonna say?
Oh, no, I was just agreeing with you. I just said, yeah, it does.
But this one, it's a demonic temple, as noted here, from the time of Sathmog's reign. It was originally called Korashbal in the old language. And for many, many centuries, it has sat overgrown and abandoned in the Magna Woods. And there's a portal to Sathmog's realm here. So the players can, at the very end, go into the demonic realm and perhaps get trapped there forever or transformed, which one of our player characters, we'll get to it when we get to that part, but he almost just hung out with Sathmog for the rest of eternity.
Yeah. Might not be so bad.
But the situation in brief, you hear of this, of course, from outskirts with the rumors, and it's widely known because of the murals in the building's exterior, the demonic ones. So this whole place is like covered in these twisted brambles and cool murals, and it has a very ancient feel to it. So I would suggest build that up. Build the atmosphere up quite a bit. I don't think I did as well, but make it feel imposing, because I think that's really what Free League's trying to convey here. But it's told to hold untold treasures and forbidden knowledge, but also be guarded by an ancient evil. And as noted here, this is a possible location for one of the 4 pieces, and I believe you guys found one here. Okay, good. I'm glad I decided to put one here. But also the setup has, there's a group of cultists Sathmog has sent to investigate the temple. And if you're playing the campaign, of course, the goal is to find a statuette piece. Otherwise, these cultists are just looking for knowledge. Sorry, the cultists are looking for the statuette piece, or knowledge, depending on how you're going to frame this thing. We learned that
they do that.
Yeah, because what if you want to run it solo?
Yeah, they're just looking for lost knowledge then, not a statuette piece. That's good.
Yeah, and the cultists in this adventure play a pretty large part. I didn't really use them. I introduced them, but you guys kind of waited in the darkness while they fled because they want to get the hell out of here for the most part, because we find out that 3 of the cultists went through the portal in the bowels of the temple while the others were struck by fear and waited outside. And then 2 of them returned from the demonic realm horrifically twisted. The others chose to flee, while the former stayed behind in the innermost chamber of the temple. And so, as noted here, they can encounter these fleeing cultists, which is exactly what happened to you guys. I think you guys were trying to scale the wall of the garden, if I remember correctly. And they were, they were out there trying to escape. And I kind of set it up to be, hey, if you guys decide to talk to them or fight them or whatever, you can. You guys decided to just kind of stay behind, and which I kind of like, because I feel like there's a little bit of a, I don't want to call it a conflict, but maybe, where the way I read these cultists is that they want to get the hell out. They've experienced horrific things, and it's even noted on the next page that in their little stat block here, which I'll scroll down so you guys can see on the screen, they are it talks about 1 died in a trapdoor, et cetera, but their belief in Sathmog is waning. The things that they have seen here has basically scared the shit out of them, and they want to get the F out. They don't want to hang around and be combative necessarily. I mean, they might fight. The way I looked at it is, if you guys encountered them they would only fight you to get through you. They're not there to fight you because they're evil cultists, right? Because it even notice here, right, that their faith, if you want to call it that, is dwindling, and they may even reveal that Annabella, who is the informant in Outskirts and the Three Stags Inn, she's a member of the cult. They may say that if you come into a conversation with them. But there's a stat block. You can encounter them. As a GM, do as you see fit. I feel, though, like I said, thematically, I don't think these characters would be ones to be the evil villains that try to attack the players because they're not cultists, because clearly they're losing their faith. So
even their artwork expresses that.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, they look worried. They look broken. Yeah. And so there's a little bit of a conflicting description here, I guess, with their stat blocks and how they're to be perceived, at least in my opinion. But, feel free to run them how you want to. I felt like there's enough awesome stuff in this adventure that you don't really need these as NPCs / whatever. So, but I guess that's all I'll say about the cultists and the setup. Do you want to start with the locations, or do you want to talk about anything else before we begin?
No, we can do the look. Well, we'll gloss over the
events
real quick.
Sure, go for it.
So each time you spend a stretch of time in a room or whatever you're doing, if you wait inside of this temple, or if you leave the temple, you'll have to roll something. Now, if you leave the temple, this little note here says that you roll a d6 per shift on the table on page 107 in the rule book. So off the top of my head, I don't know what that is, but there is a difference of if you've left the location or if you're staying there. Staying there, you might run into wandering cultists. You might run into fighting cultists, which means the cultists are fighting the giant spider or murderous briars. The wandering cultist one is more like what you would have had, where like they're more, they want out of there. They could be it says they can be reasoned with, and that the risk of combat is high. But I agree with you. I would make the risk of combat low. Frightened people are not fighting. They're not fighting people.
Yeah, I agree. And I really wish I remembered if I did roll on this table. I think I just decided, because I think when I read this adventure, I'm like, narratively speaking, this is how I want to use them. And that's how I did. So,
yeah. And plus, rolling, you wouldn't be able to use more than half of the table anyway, because we bypassed the cultists.
Yep. Exactly.
So the 9th, if you roll a 9, the cultists just attack you with a sneak attack, is what they want to try to do. You can hear a terrible roar, which I know what that is. It's the manticore. There's a giant spider that can attack you. And then, of course, the murderous briars will come to life and attack a player who gets too close. But that can happen even without, a rolled event, as it did with us. But let's start with locations. And with the locations, I think we found a sweet spot of, we'll read what the location is, we'll read the flavor text, and then just summarize the rest of it, which for number 1, outside the temple, a large and impressive but severely dilapidated stone temple. Its towers and spires have collapsed, and much of the building is covered with abundant vegetation dominated by huge briars with formidable thorns. The stone gate stands slightly ajar. The remains of murals with a pattern of violet flames can be seen on the walls beside the gate. So, looking at the map, I'm looking at
I'll go down to the map again. I always do that at the beginning just so people can visualize what we're talking about. But yeah,
we got the it's like a pedestal going up several steps. Everything is surrounded by those briars, which we're about to talk about really soon. But in this area, to the north, you just have the doors into the next area, and then it says in the book northwest, but really just all around the rest of this structure is just the enormous briars that are overgrown. And you can attempt to climb them with an acrobatics roll with a boon, but the briars are alive and they will attack player characters who climb it. So it's really just a really neat trap. It's a living trap.
Mm-hmm.
But if you do climb on the other up to the other side of the wall, and I guess that's why it does specify northwest, because it's the northwest area that has a wall to climb over. Mm-hmm. I guess everywhere else you're just climbing onto a roof, but you can get into the temple in area 4 from that direction. But let's go over these murderous briars. I kind of right off the bat, I wish these were in the bestiary. Like,
they're really cool.
I wish there was more plant-based monsters. There's always very little when it comes to plant-based monsters.
I just like too that they're not anthropomorphized. They're like they look like briars. They just happen to be conscious, right? There's no reasoning with them. They're going to attack regardless of what you're going to do. As noted here, the demonic energies leaking out of the portal have caused the briars around the temple to grow huge and develop an appetite for fresh meat. So that's one thing to note that I forgot to mention. This whole thing, there's an open demonic portal. There's a demonic presence leaking out, affecting everything. It even talks about, I think it caused more animals to show up around the area. So not only that, but there's all kinds of twisted things in this. I however, wish that the animals spotted around the area would be kind of mutated or something, you know?
Yeah, something
like kind of an Area X thing. Mm-hmm. Do you want to go over the stat block, or do we want to just...
No, we'll keep that a surprise for GMs who are running this game. Learn more about the murderous briars, or just pause the video and read it right here.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead.
I was just gonna say they are pretty dangerous, but honestly, as long as you got fire, you're kind of gonna be fine, because they don't have a lot of hit points.
They do not. And I remember it was Bramble, right?
Yeah,
Bramble was attacked by the brambles or the briars.
Yeah, that was the fun part about that.
That's funny. Yeah. Check it out. Again, make everything feel demonic. I think that's the key thing. Make it feel twisted, tainted, et cetera, et cetera. But I'll move on to the next one, which is the vestibule. It's just this entrance right here. I'll show you guys on the map. So there's some pillars. There's some murals around the area. There's the northwest passage leads you to the garden. And then up to the north is an area leading to this massive chamber. But let me go back and briefly read the flavor text. So this large vestibule has a high ceiling and is dominated by heavy hexagonal stone pillars. The dim light from outside falls on flicking murals of demonic monsters, tearing vanquished dragons to shreds, and a landscape lit by a violet sun. I love that imagery because it shows that, the demons are the ones who should have won the war. They're really depicting this propaganda, basically, that the demons are destroying the dragons left and right. And so the sun is also a very important thing with this dungeon. There's going to be I guess a kind of a mini puzzle of sorts a little bit later on. So I'd say more than anything, describing this clearly and in an evocative way to the players is more important than many of the other adventures in this book, because there's a history here. There's clues literally on the walls. Some stuff has happened because this has been here for hundreds and hundreds of years. You of course can roll a random event here, a D12 roll a D12 on the table on page 48 for each full stretch. As we talked about before, that's about 15 minutes, or even if they decide to look at the murals and investigate, et cetera, et cetera. But other than that, it's just a bunch of different exits or entrances, if whatever you want to call them.
Yep. Not much to it. But that mural is so important. I like that.
Yeah.
And we had a very good when we were playing through it, because I've never ran this one, but I was a player for this location. it was very, it was a really neat part of the dungeon. I love environmental storytelling anytime we get it. And I like when an adventure gives the DM or the GM just, here you go, here's some environmental storytelling to give the players, because it's kind of hard to think up of on the spot sometimes.
Oh yeah, for sure. And it's intentional, right? It's not just there for flavor. It's like there's a reason.
Right. Yep, there's a reason. Area 3, the courtyard, a large open garden without a roof. It is overgrown with huge briars, blossoming ornamental trees, and unkempt grass along the paths. The scent of flowers is soothing. So, this area in particular, which it doesn't have a roof, so I guess your players could technically climb into that as well.
They can.
Even though earlier it said if they climb over the wall, they go to area 4, but not necessarily.
It depends on where you go, because there's like a little secret entrance. You'll notice on the map there's little S's. So those are areas the players can slip through if they investigate closely, or with like a spot hidden or something, that are kind of just covered with very dense vines and all that. So it's an actual breach in the wall. So you guys, I don't think you guys ever went in there, because there is a guy in there. I can't remember if you met him or did you?
We didn't go in there. We got really hit with the briars, and we retreated back.
Gotcha.
And went in the front way. We were like, let's get out of these briars. We got scared of the briars.
I kind of almost wish that they would have left this whole thing open, like remove this wall. And maybe I'm wrong, but I'm just thinking out loud, because I really like the character who's in here. And I could imagine him tending the entirety of this courtyard garden, maybe. Versus being like kind of sealed in to this little secret garden area. But I don't know.
Yeah, it sucks when something cool is behind a secret that the party might not ever find.
Yeah. But I mean,
especially if you tend to just run it as is.
Yeah, that's just kind of how it is, I guess. But is that it pretty much for the courtyard?
Kind of. It does have giant blueberries. So there's these blueberries that are as big as your eyeballs. And you can find them. There's 4d6 berries. And each one counts as a full meal. However, when you eat one, you do suffer the dazed condition, because I guess they're special blueberries.
They're like GMO blueberries, basically.
Yeah.
They're bigger than normal, that they should be. Maybe they can fill you up more, but then they're going to make you kind of mess with your head a little bit.
Right.
But what else we got? It talks about the west. There is a hidden... Yeah, so he's talking about hidden trellises covered in twining vines. That is the secret entrance into the herb garden, yeah.
And then in the north, there's a opening to a short corridor leading to the guard room, which we did get there eventually. We just didn't get there through here.
Yep,
is all. And that's the courtyard.
Okay, well, let's move on to the herb garden. I don't believe I ran this, but if you've watched our campaign, remind me. But Joey doesn't sound familiar to you, so I doubt it happened. But this is a smaller part of the garden, hidden behind low walls and overgrown trellises. It is dominated by lush plants, herbs, and spices. Bumblebees are buzzing. A person in natural colored clothes is pulling weeds. I think this is something that I probably should have leaned into. Bumblebees are buzzing, because what I would have done is, as you guys neared that secret area, I probably would have been maybe rolling awareness, or maybe just give it to you. You guys hear the sounds of buzzing bees coming to the west, or from the west. And that kind of would have been a cue, an environmental cue, to get them to go investigate, perhaps.
And we would have ignored it and not done it anyway.
Yeah, but anyway, as a GM, I recommend that, because this guy's really cool. He's mysterious. He's an NPC. With black eyes, right? Which is really cool. And basically you find this individual named Hafermal. He is an old elf who has come to the garden to harness the growth-stimulating power seeping out of the portal. and he's smoking tobacco, a very potent tobacco, smoking a pipe, as you can see right here. And I guess that could be another cue. You hear bumblebees and you smell, you smell this strong tobacco scent. But anyway,
I was going to say, if Louis was still part of the party, he definitely, I'm sure you would have thought of to make the smoke be more prominent if Louis was still there. We had Gideon by that time.
Yeah, and now that I'm reading more of his stat block, it's reminding me again. He has a hoarse voice and is constantly smoking a pipe. Therefore, maybe he coughs a little bit from time to time. So you guys might hear that. So you got bumblebees, you got a potent tobacco smell, you got potentially a guy who's going to be coughing, but he doesn't know that his eyes have turned completely black. He hasn't looked in a mirror in a very long time, but he's a great ally because he has information. He can also heal an injured player, and he knows this about the secret passage to the north of the wall, so he can divulge that stuff. He's even encountered the cultists, and he does not like them disturbing the peace. So he also knows about the portal. So this guy knows a lot of stuff. He can be persuaded to change his mind about how to close it, but he wants it to stay open. So he's really capitalizing on the cool magic that is emanating from this open portal. And he's like, man, I'm digging these giant blueberries and my crazy tobacco I might be growing, and I just want to be hanging out here in peace. What are all these damn cultists doing? So he's a really cool character, a very mysterious character. I, granted, never force your players to meet, to go somewhere if they don't choose to do that. But I think that, and it's my fault, I will call it out. I should have used these audio, these sensory cues, let's call them, to at least show you guys that something might be over the wall over there. But that's pretty much the herb garden, which is, let me go back down to the map so you guys can see. So that's this little area right over here. But
I guess what's interesting to me about Heffermel?
Yeah.
His eyes are all black. Like, that's a unique feature. But if you look at the art of elves in this game, they either have all black eyes or all white.
Oh, weird. Huh.
Yeah.
I think it was definitely emphasized in this one because there's those little like specular highlight, of white on his eyes here. Yeah. I think Johan Egerkrantz, who did the other artwork that you're talking about, I think it was kind of a stylistic choice on his part versus like elves have black eyes, or white eyes. It's kind of like the Batman thing. Like, Batman doesn't really have white eyes. It's just a cool look that Jim Lee did, sort of thing.
Right.
Yeah. So next up is number 5, which is
the altar room. A passage opens into a large, spacious room under a domed ceiling. There is a high altar in the northern part of the room. The air smells dry and dusty. Light streams down from an opening in the center of the dome, where creeping vines have broken through. So, Area 5 was where we found the bone mask.
Yes, it's a massive room with a very cool, like, star-shaped. I guess it's a flame. It's supposed to be a flame, but I got some Cthulhu vibes from that shape. Yeah, but there's also a trap door. Don't forget about that. Like, right when you walk in, there's a trap door noted.
I think Donovan found that.
Yeah. Luckily, you guys didn't fall through. But what's cool about this map, it's not just a trap. It leads down to the second level, the bottom level of the temple.
Yep. But there is an altar. It's carved from a block of greenish black stone, and it shows demons battling dragons under a violet sun.
There you go. More sun talk.
More sun talk. If the 4 suns on the altar, one on each side, are pressed simultaneously, a hatch opens in the altar, and the characters notice that the sun can be pressed if they use a spot hidden check, which I guess somebody did because we figured
you guys
it out
did.
somehow.
This is another one of those situations, though, where I'm like, there's no clues as to how you would even solve this, which I guess makes sense because it's not necessarily a puzzle, maybe. It's like...
Right. It's just like, I want to... Because I think how we did it was, we were like, there's something up with this altar. I mean, it's a fucking altar. So... Yeah. And you were like, yes, there is. roll a spot hidden is probably how it went, and we succeeded.
Yeah.
And you know what? The mask got kind of forgotten about.
It did. And it's a boon in a later part of the adventure.
Yeah. But the mask protects the wearer with Protector, power level 2, and Permanence. It draws willpower from its wearer, who must also succeed with a will roll to remove it. One attempt is allowed each shift. So the interesting thing is if I'm not mistaken, somebody, it might have been me even, I'll have to go back and watch that episode. I think one of us declared that we put it on, but then we never did anything with it. Like, we forgot about it that quickly. So somebody was wearing this bone mask for the rest of the adventure, because I know nobody ever did the will roll to remove it.
I might have forgotten that you guys, because yeah, you have to remove it. I mean, you have to make a roll to get it off. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I feel like I remember somebody putting it on, but then we never used it even once. So my advice is remember the treasure you get if you're a player. And I guess in a way, if you're the GM, maybe remind your players of the treasure they have, because I guess they can forget about it, especially if they don't write it down, which we didn't write it down. You know, it kind of just gets plopped into our inventory for us. So it's a little easier to forget that way. But also in this room, there's a gong painted. Sorry, not painted. What is that word? A gong of patinated.
Yeah. So or patina, depending on how you pronounce it, I guess.
Yeah. But it's hanging on the west wall. Hitting the gong may attract cultists or wandering monsters. Peabody hit the gong. He always wanted, he just couldn't resist. He had to hit the gong.
Had to do it. Yeah.
But nothing happened for us. I mean, I think I don't
Well, there were, it says right here, is hitting the gong may attract cultists or wandering monsters. I think I did probably roll for a wandering monster, but the cultists were gone already.
Right.
So they weren't going to show up.
Yeah, I think that's why nothing happened for us. But I think you did, I might just be making this up, but I think maybe you alluded to the manticore when we hit the gong. Like, I think we heard something.
I might have, because you're supposed to roll on a random events table. So I'm sure I did that the second you guys did it, and maybe that was the I don't know, maybe that was the hints. I can't remember.
Yeah. But other than that, basically there's a door to the west that leads to the guard room. There's a door to the southwest that leads back out to the courtyard. And then there is a door to the east, which is where we went.
Yeah, the spiral staircase.
Narrow spiral staircase.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much it for this room.
Okay, cool. Well, let's move on to what page am I on? Oh, we're on the map page. So let me go back down to the guard room. Guard room is another cool area because there is it's a dark enclosed space with a high ceiling. It smells strongly of iron and rust. Vines have crept in through the cracks in the wall, which is a hint that this is going to lead to the garden, because to the south is a secret passageway out into the courtyard area. But the coolest feature of this room is this skeleton. It's a six-legged large beast, bound in shackles, attached to the wall by thick chains. And if you roll a beast lore, it's going to suggest that the skeleton does not come from any natural animal to the known world. So this is some kind of demonic entity, I guess, that was brought here, shackled, died. But as we know, insects have 6 legs, mammals don't. So this is kind of a weird ass creature. A more cool environmental storytelling at its finest. So lean into it. And then to the west, there is a spiral staircase that leads down to the next area. There's also an oil lamp on the ground. It's tipped over on the floor, but it's still half full and can be lit. So if your players forgot a torch, which seems to happen more often than not, there's the solution there. But I think that is pretty much it, other than, I guess the door to the west is locked.
Yeah.
So you can pick it, or you can beat the shit out of it with your sword or whatever and knock it down. But also, one of these cultists has the key. So in my running of the adventure, they all fled. So alas, no chance in getting that guy.
Nope.
But that's pretty much the guard room. I guess it's time to move on to the sacrificial pit. You lucky bastard. That's a cool one.
It is a cool one. And so we're at the first area of the second map for this adventure, or this adventure site. A dark pit with roughly carved stone walls. Several humanoid skeletons in varying degrees of decay lie scattered on the floor, but they are moving. A recently deceased corpse is lying in the middle of the room. The air reeks of death. So right off the bat, and this is where Donovan would have fallen into.
Yep.
Which would have been the sacrificial pit for sure. He would not have survived that probably. But they're skeletons that have been raised by the reopening of the portal. And these were human sacrifices that the ancient demon cultists threw into the pit after they had their little ceremonies at the altar. And this is something that's really cool that I actually like. It's one of those things where it's like parallel. I think it's called parallel thinking, where you have an idea that someone else has also had. So when the dead speak to them, the player characters must make a will roll to resist their fear. So I love that. And like in my old D&D homebrew setting, you could play as undead. And there was like an undead race that I made, but their speech was like death speech. And it kind of did the same thing. You had to basically, if you heard something that was speaking the undead language, you took like D4 psychic damage on a fail. But then you didn't take it for like a whole game week. You know, every week though. Basically, every long while that you heard undead speak to you, it could damage you in some way. So I was really happy to see that here. And I always wondered, like, where did I take inspiration for that? Because I'm sure I did somewhere, but probably the idea of, Elrond not liking the black speech being spoke at Rivendell. I was like, oh, yeah, maybe I'll use something like that probably. But I just wanted to point that out, that I like that. It's a really neat concept to use.
It's cool, too, because it's not combative. So we see a lot of this, like, roll fear, right, in monster attacks. But there are these skeletons down here who are basically, they can't rest. They're pissed off. They want to rest. But because of this demonic portal, they're forced to just exist still. And so you have kind of a butting of the heads, so to speak, or philosophies, whereas the guy in the garden wants to keep it open because it's making these badass blueberries and tobacco, and then you have these poor skeletons who just want to die.
Yeah, and they know about the bone mask, so you can find that out from them.
Yeah,
if you want to. Now, I think we looked down, saw it, and just didn't fuck with it.
Yeah, you're like, nope. I think I probably described the fallen body there, which is really cool. So, the trapdoor right below the trapdoor is this body, a cultist, like sprawled out there. So I think you guys probably saw that and were like, no thanks.
Yeah, it's a pit full of skeletons. I'm like, what are we supposed to think? But if you did go down there, you also would find treasures equivalent to one treasure card can be found among the junk on the floor. So they, if you go down in there, there is a door to get out
to the north. Yeah.
But you could also climb up, back up with a rope.
Yep.
But opening that door, it could be a big mistake if you ended up.
Oh, yeah.
It makes a loud noise, which, you get a cool bit too, because you get to talk about probably the most dangerous thing in this whole area.
Yeah, it's this big ass room right here, which I think you guys ran through. One thing to note here, there are no torches in here. This is pitch black. And I think if I remember right, was Sariel shooting flaming arrows or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it was a cool visual where you see these arrows just flying through the darkness, like illuminating briefly this giant manticore that's lurking. A demon twisted, a demon twisted manticore, I might add. So this is not just a manticore. This is something that's been completely twisted by the demonic power that's in this dungeon. So yeah, you guys, I thought it went great. You guys decided, no, I'm getting out of here. I'm not fighting this thing. To me, that was totally realistic, and I think how how Free League wanted this whole thing presented. But yeah, that's where it is. Let me briefly read so you guys can see it as well. This is the vaulted hall. Oh, as noted too, before we move on, the skeletons here, they're like skeletons in the rule book, so just use a stat block there. But they're conscious and they are unarmed as well. So more emphasis on the fact that, like, even though they're scary skeletons and their speech requires you to roll a will, they're not out to attack you. But anyway, this one is a vast and dark hall. Pillars and low arches make it hard to see, even with a light source. Water drips down from the ceiling and forms puddles along the uneven floor tiles, and a scratching sound is heard from further in the hall. Smells of wild animals and droppings. So really cool atmospheric stuff there. And of course, as it mentions right here, there is a manticore who's prowling the room, enlarged and twisted by the energies of the demonic world. It is too big to leave through any of the room's exits, which I think worked in your guys', it was for your benefit, because I think, if I remember correctly, you guys went off to the eastern spiral staircase, I think, because I think you were trying to go south and you put 2 and 2 together and you're like, nope, this is the trapdoor full of skeletons. I'm not going in there. Right. Or this is the room full of skeletons. So let's go toward the stairwell.
Yep.
But yeah, this is where the narrow staircase is. There's also a low iron door to the south that's leading to the sacrificial pit. And then to the west and the northwest are 2 different areas, which I'll show you guys again on the map. So to the west leads to this chamber, number 9. And to the northwest is number 11 up here, where this is where the demonic portal is. But that's pretty much the gist of it. It's a big, scary, very dark room with a massive beast. This is like a classic, Souls game fight. I feel like, you walk into this big hall and there's some big beast right in the middle. And but in that game, you can't run away, unfortunately. Right. But that's it. That's number 8. The hall, the vaulted hall. So let's talk about 9.
The CROSSROADS. There are chains on the floor attached to the wall. You smell a musky scent, like that of wild animals. Vines have crept in through cracks in the stone along the south wall. It's exactly what it says it is. It's a crossroads. You can go south, north, back east, or go west. Going west will bring you up the spiraling stairs like it did for us, to which we found that locked door. So we're like, okay, nothing. And then we realized, oh, it's the door that was locked. Okay, so we know where this goes, but we can't do anything with that necessarily. We could beat it down if we wanted to. And then there is, however, I think, the way to the north is secret, but we figured that out. Because we investigated the chains, and I think we brute force pulled the chains and it broke the wall apart.
Something like that. I don't remember exactly. Let's see what it says right here. Broken chains. The key is still lying next to it. I don't remember how you guys got through, actually, but it says, behind the chains bracket is a hidden door. So it doesn't necessarily need to be broken, but it says the player characters find it if they look in the exact place or if they search the room and roll a successful. So I think one of those ways you guys found it.
Yeah. And then to the south is the treasure chamber, which we did go in, and we got lots of good stuff.
Yeah. That's, again, I really like this adventure, man. It's got 2 levels, lots of varying different rooms. It's cool.
And if you successfully complete this dungeon, I would definitely, I would try to run this dungeon somewhere near the middle of your run.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Not the beginning.
No. This is not a beginner one.
Because if your players do survive early on, but they're going to get stuff that's going to make them like kind of, I think, overpower them for other stuff early on in the game too. Because it's got a book that has lots of good spells in it, like really powerful spells. So you got to be a little careful with that. I mean, if that's what they want to do, by all means, and you're like kind of like a purist sandbox GM, then by all means, if they survive and they get really good fat rewards, okay. But I wouldn't recommend like hinting them to go in this direction super early in the campaign. Probably
I wouldn't either. Well, I think too, though, even though, like you said, there's an awesome grimoire in this room that has a lot of spells in it, I feel like the dangers match the reward.
They do.
So it's not like, oh, there's a really cool grimoire and treasure in here, and you can come here easily and get it. And there's a freaking mutated demonic manticore, and other things. Speaking of which, I forgot to mention the manticore. So just as a GM, don't forget this little box here. So they are the same stats per the rule book, but 56 HP and a ferocity equal to the number of player characters -1.
Yeah.
So it's a beefier manticore. Don't forget that. Don't forget to I don't want to say it. Well, I guess role play. You're gonna have to role play the manticore a little bit, but just amp it up. But I really like this adventure. It's so cool. It's so diverse. It's got lots of cool little features to it. So I guess we'll talk about the treasure chamber then next, which, as you spoke of, it's a low ceiling. Part of the ceiling has collapsed and the floor is covered. Oh, wait, you just talked about that one. What am I talking about? Briefly, anyway. It's a small
because it's such a small one.
Yeah, it's tiny. Yeah, we kind of just talked through it. But yeah, it's a cool one. There's rubble on the floor, as you can see on the map. There's vines coming in. Yeah, just amp up that. There's a cool treasure chest in there. I mean, this is classic fucking role playing, man. This is like this is the kind of stuff what I love about these games. But okay, let's move on to man, we're already at 11, the portal. So let me go up to the map really quick. That's where this room is right here. So there's a big flamey thing going on here. It's flanked by these 2 guards holding axes. I added some kind of mood lighting to it because there is a demonic portal.
Yeah,
it's Foundry. Yeah, if you're running Foundry, really take advantage of the lighting effects in it. Don't just put boring lights in there. Have flickering torches that pulse. Have the witchy haze, right? You can even color the lights. You can do you can change the animation speed. All kinds of cool stuff that really help give it some atmosphere because. I find, and I know we've talked about even one of our hot takes videos. One of you guys out there mentioned that the problem with maps is they feel like they're less immersive because you look at it more like a board game, and also you only think the options you can do are on the page.
Right.
So do as much as you can to amp it up, because if you don't, it's probably going to be worse than Theater of the Mind, in my opinion.
Right.
So, but anyway, enough of that jibba jabba. This is an ornate chamber with murals and lavishly decorated columns along the walls. The rock seems half molten, semi-organic, like the inside of a fossil monster. That's really cool. I mean, this is like Geiger-like stuff. I think that would be a good way to describe it. If you need some kind of what's the word? Analog, right? To help the players visualize. Think of a Geiger-like chamber. And there are 2 tall figures. On a marble altar burned the violet fire, and 2 tall figures with axes are standing at the altar. The north wall behind the altar vibrates like a mirror of water. That is the portal itself. So we go further, and it's talked about the fire, or it describes the fire more. It burns without fuel. The light gives off is not very bright, but anyone touching the flame suffers D6 points of damage. I don't know why you would do that. I mean, who goes out and touches fire? But there it is, in case it happens. It can be extinguished, though, with this spell, which in turn closes the portal. If the player characters do not know the spell, Hafermal can be persuaded to help them. Otherwise, which is noted, he doesn't want the portal to close, but it says you can't persuade him otherwise.
Right.
I feel like it would probably be, if he's really, really into this place, you're going to have to do some serious persuasion. I might even bane it. I don't know. I guess it depends. But these cultists, that's what they are. The people at the altar are the two cultists who went through the portal, which are down here and illustrated. These two guys, they got like this glowing aura about them. The armor that they were wearing is now fused to their body, which is kind of interesting. I never pictured cultists wearing this kind of armor. This is almost like plate-like armor. I picture cultists more wearing robes and stuff. But anyway, that's beside the point. They've also become twisted. They speak in raspy voices. I think they've been elongated, so they're really tall. But they have been summoned by Sathmog and offer them opportunity to go through the portal and become part of his realm. So they're not going to attack you immediately. They're trying to entice you to become part of this demonic realm, to bring you into the fold. But behind the altar, the portal is surrounded by ornaments that could be the spine of an unknown beast, more Geiger-esque kind of cool stuff going on there. But inside, you see weird stuff. So this is where you're seeing the demonic realm. As noted, I think down below, it's indescribable, right? It's like Lovecraft likes to say. Right. It's indescribable. I can't describe it. Because the geometry and just how everything works, you can't perceive it. Let's see. Yeah, impossible to go through the portal, or it's possible to go through the portal. So yeah, if you step in there, but before we get there, there's murals, paintings on the walls depict demonic beasts and priests with dark auras sacrificing bound dragons under a violet sun. So again, reinforce. If you're even writing a dungeon, creating something, think about this stuff, because that's important, right? You don't want to just make everything feel freaking random. And then to the southeast, we have the vault. Anyway, these are just the doors, pretty much. But we'll talk about these cultists briefly. I think I talked about them probably enough. This is a little stat block for you, a little illustration to use for you. They're over 2 meters tall, so over 6 foot. Unnaturally thin, armor fused to their bodies. Their eyes are completely black, which is another cue because the elf in the garden has black eyes, so he's been tainted as well, and they're surrounded by a purple aura. But they have a demonic toughness. So when a twisted cultist reaches 0 HP for the first time, it rises again on its next turn, now with D6 HP and a demonic wrath that increases its damage to plus D6 or bonus. So they get gnarlier. They have 2 phases, basically. But that's it. Do you want to talk about the demonic realm?
I will probably not. I'm gonna let you cover the demonic realm. But a few things that I did want to talk about with the portal in particular is the elf. You mentioned like there could be a way to have him help you close the portal. I think it doesn't really give you any indication of what he would want, because he's there because the demonic energies are like rampantly growing his leaf that he uses to make his vape juice, right? And I would probably not just a bane, I'd maybe give 2 banes to try to persuade him if you are just trying to talk it through, because like trust me, you can't quit your wacky tobacco that easily. It's very difficult.
Yeah.
So he would totally not be about closing that portal if it means he doesn't get his tobacco anymore. Like he would say, fuck that. But because he's kind of a healer, I just a tip for a GM, if the players think of the idea of, well, let's show him those forsaken undead wandering, pitifully down there, I think that would make it, that would be something they could use that would help make it easier to persuade him. Just an idea I would throw out.
No, that's a great idea. That's a great idea, because what if this guy knows one of the skeletons?
Yeah, you could just make that a thing.
Yeah, and he, maybe he vanished some time ago, and maybe the demonic powers and the fact that he can grow this cool leaf and the blueberries, kind of made him forget about his old companion. And that's a way to bring him, to help convince him. But the way, just a general tip, and well, I mean, it's kind of how I like to run social encounters, is I really like to encourage RP. So I know in Dragonbane, a lot of times they'll say, oh, roll this, roll a persuasion.
Right.
And it's like, and that's it. What I like to do is start a conversation with the players. Yeah. Let them kind of lean into it. And
Yep.
then only after that goes by for some time, I might give them a boon on the roll because they RP'd so well. I felt like, yeah, that's pretty damn convincing. I'm still going to have a roll, but maybe I'll give you a boon or something, or a bane if it goes terribly, whatever that might be. But regardless, I think that's a nice little reward to give players to really incentivize them to RP, because it's called a role-playing game, you know?
Right.
So, and I know a lot of people aren't super comfortable role-playing. They just want to say, they want more of detachment from their character. Like, oh, my character does X and attacks this.
Right.
And like, I played with plenty of people who are like,
Yeah, there's different style. There's different levels of role playing, which one day I'll make a video about that. That's actually kind of what I was going to make a video about that I'm going to test editing out.
I like
so if it's good, then maybe we'll pop it on the channel just for fun.
Yeah. No, that's cool. That's a good idea. Yeah, I think it'd be cool to have some more GM tip videos here and there, little ones, little micro ones anyway. But yeah, that's how I run social encounters, and also include a roll. Sometimes I don't require one. It really depends on the stakes. I think closing a demonic portal, and because like you said, Joey, this guy is super fixated on his his vape juice. Like he's going to be hard to convince. So it could be that. Maybe there is no roll. Maybe somehow you learn, like I said earlier, that one of the skeletons was a past companion or somebody new. Then maybe you don't need a roll. Maybe he sees them and that's it. So, but okay, we'll move on to the very final thing, which is the demonic realm. This one's it's really cool. Because it is an oily black maze of semi-organic shapes. Violet and purple suns shine in an orange sky, casting their light on towering structures without exterior walls. Too many dimensions, too many angles and corners, a cacophony of voices too faint to make out what is being said, the pungent smell of blood and decay. This is Sathmog's realm.
It's like the fourth dimension.
It is. It's crazy. I had not a map, but kind of like a theater of the mind image, just to kind of have a sense of place for you guys. But as noted here, there is no map of the demon princess city. It's as a geometry cannot be understood by creatures of our world. And so the way this works, it's kind of like a rolling game. And I really liked it. I think if I were to do it again, and I don't think I did this, but even though it really just takes a sequence of rolls, you can see over here on the side, it requires 2 successful will rolls, and these are the results. One of them is finding a piece, something valuable, or the statuette piece as well.
Yeah.
And then the second one, they find their way to get the hell out. But if they fail, there's a sequence that goes right here as well. So a shift of time has passed. So you could theoretically have people, like some of your party, go inside and days pass. Not just hours, but days pass. And you think maybe you think you lost them because time works differently here. This is a day right here. And then they must roll D6 on the demonic altercations table, which is really cool. I don't think anybody got any of these. But basically what happens is, like everything we've witnessed already, 5 to 6, their eyes turn completely black, but it changes their stats. So they get a +1 to will, -1 to charisma-based skills. And there's mins and maxes here as noted. 7 to 8, the player characters, their body grows and becomes unnaturally elongated. This permanently gives them strength +1, also -1 to charisma-based skills. And then a 9 to 10, the player characters fuses with their armor or clothes. This provides natural protection with armor rating equal to the armor. Minimum 2, and increases maximum HP by the same amount, but -2 to all. So basically you're ugly and disgusting. So all your charisma-based stuff is nerfed, but you get some buffs. So it's a trade-off. Just so you guys know, I think I mentioned at the beginning of the video, but Ducky's character, he almost was I think he was almost here. Yeah, the player characters meets the demon prince Sathmog himself and becomes part of his realm forever. Yeah. So that was one failure away. But I really like this. I think I want to try to create more things like this in my games and my homebrew encounters and things because everybody loves rolling. Who doesn't love to roll? And to make it kind of a rolling game, granted, these are very high stakes here. So just use them with caution, but that's how this thing is run. that is the end of this adventure. I really, really like this one. It has such variety. It really evokes the sense of the demonic presence that Sathmog, is kind of bringing about on the Misty Vale, but also that sense of ancientness that's been here for hundreds of years. It's not what it used to be. What kinds of things happened here at one point? There's all kinds of clues left behind. But yeah, that's it. Any final thoughts or notes about any of this?
I honestly think this one would be a really fun one to run if you're like, we're just going to do a one shot.
Yeah, it's a great one shot.
It's a great one shot, and you can just the story that this adventure location kind of goes through is great. So if it's a one shot and they're like newer play, you can make this a starting adventure, like a starting one shot. Just change the Manticore out with something a little bit weaker, maybe, but that's still dangerous.
It depends on how you play, because you could leave it in there, because as you know, like Dragonbane does have that old school vibe to it where we're not balancing encounters. It's up to you.
Fair, but you're not really, you have no way of knowing how powerful your characters are going to be. So
yeah, 100%.
That's fair.
So just, again, your choice as a GM, but yeah, take note that this could be brutal.
It's a good adventure because it gives you, like, if I only had one night to have someone experience what I think Dragonbane is, this is the adventure I would run. It's like, okay, especially if they're an experienced tabletop player, but they haven't played Dragonbane, this is what I would try to hook them to come back to play more Dragonbane.
That's a good call. I think that's the key thing you said, though, is experienced role player, because this has a very clear kind of atmospheric, thematic vibe to it. That I feel like, Dragonbane is mirth and mayhem, as it's noted. So it's kind of lighthearted sometimes. It can kind of be darker sometimes, but it's not like grimdark. Whereas I feel like this adventure probably is the closest to grimdark stylings, or dark fantasy at the very least. So tonally, it might not be fully representative of what Dragonbane is, but I think it's a fantastic adventure to get people interested in the game, because there's a social encounters, there's a freaking demonic portal, there's a little cool rolling game, mini game at the very end. There's these cultists, there's the cool brambles, there's all kinds of cool stuff in it. Hidden things, traps, the whole 9 yards. So.
Other little bits that I have as just, thoughts off the top of my head. When you're dealing with the murderous briars, I think a cool way you could do those description wise is like, if somebody has the briar wrap, just and make this area is dark, like you said. So make players as uncomfortable as possible when you're describing things, like, describe the thorns puncturing through their skin, and then they can feel their blood being drawn, because these things want blood, fresh blood. Maybe describe animals that are dead along the side of the path, and you see that they look like they were drained of their blood, but don't go any further than that. Let them wonder, well, what the hell? Are there vampires here? What's going on? And then they figure out, oh, it's the briars.
Yeah.
Definitely the art that you were describing for when you want to explain those later areas that have like semi-indescribable locations, the Geiger art. There's nothing more horrific than a bunch of phallic imagery. Definitely do that.
I guess depending on what you're into, but yeah.
It's a really great adventure. And yeah, I think this might be, we'll have to wait because we'll go through all the other ones too. But as of right now, this is my favorite one.
Yeah, same. I think I have one more that might be my ultimate favorite because it's incredibly creative. But this one is very, very close to that. I think, like you said, it's a great adventure that does a lot of things. It's got a lot of variety. It's a great introduction adventure for, like a one shot, like you said, for people who have like been playing 5e or whatever game, and they're like, what's Dragonbane about? This is a really cool one. So much variety. So I wish they I wish they listed the credits at the beginning of the adventure. I think they're just at the very beginning of the, because I feel like I gotta call this person out. Let me see who wrote this one. Svante Landgraf. He wrote Temple of the Purple Flame. So awesome stuff. But yeah, that's it. I guess the next one we're going to be talking about is the Tower of Size, which I have not run. So I did not run that because as a group, my original intent was to run all of these because I wanted everyone to experience the entirety of these adventures. But we'd been running that campaign for a very long time. Path of Glory was, knocking on our door. So we decided to kind of shorten it a little bit. And so I kind of like went through and picked the coolest ones I thought, which is thankfully this one ended up being really cool for the kind of more end gamey stuff. But yeah, that's it. We'll be talking about the Tower of Size next time.
And I did run Tower of Size.
You did? Okay, good. I'm glad one of us did because I was going to say, huge caveat. I'm going to give my commentary, but I haven't run it. So we'll see what that's like. But yeah, let us know down below if you've run Temple of the Purple Flame. Do you have any other questions of things we didn't cover? And or any counter arguments to things that we we tried to push on you? Let us know. And yeah, we will see you guys next time.